In the busy city of Enugu, Nigeria, there is one name that every family whispers with deep respect: Dr. Ejiofor Eze. Tall, sharp-eyed, and always dressed in a clean white coat, Dr. Ejiofor is the kind of man mothers point to when they tell their sons, "This is what success looks like." He trained abroad. He came back home. He built the finest private hospital in the state, Grace of God Medical Center, and the people loved him for it. He drove a black SUV. He sat in the front row at church every Sunday. He sponsored 3 boys through university. The town sang his name like a praise song. But behind that warm smile, behind those careful hands that saved lives, and that smooth voice that calmed frightened patients, something else was living, something cold, something very, very dark. This is the story of a man who was 2 people at the same time, and the ordinary, unsuspecting people whose lives he quietly destroyed, 1 patient at a time. Welcome to Ejiofor Stories, the home of Africa. Best folk tales and real stories. Like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Grace of God Medical Center stands on a quiet street in Enugu, painted white and blue, always clean, always busy. From early morning, the benches outside are already filled. Old women holding their clinic cards, young mothers nursing babies, men clutching referral letters from smaller clinics that could not handle their cases. Dr. Ejiofor Eze, 42, moves through his hospital like a man who owns not just the building, but the very air inside it. And in many ways, he does. He greets patients by name, he remembers birthdays, and he tells jokes that make even the sickest people laugh. Nurse Beatrice Nwosu, 38, has worked beside him for 6 years. She is quiet, observant, and deeply loyal, the kind of woman who arrives 30 minutes early and leaves 30 minutes late. She keeps the ward organized and the patients calm. She believes in Dr. Ejiofor completely, or she used to. Mrs. Comfort Alozi, 68, travels all the way from Udi, a full hour by bus, just to see Dr. Ejiofor for her blood pressure checks. Her husband, Chief Donatus Alozi, 71, a proud retired civil servant, always waits for her outside. He never enters the hospital. He says hospitals smell like bad news. He trusts Dr. Ejiofor completely because Comfort trusts him, and Comfort has never been wrong about people. Or so he believes. Sandra Okafor, 27, is in Ward 3 recovering from a severe typhoid fever that nearly took her life. She is thin, quiet, and alone. Her family is in Owerri. She has no visitors, nobody checking on her, nobody asking questions. The town itself is alive around this hospital. Sunday mornings bring church bells and the smell of jollof rice from nearby canteens. Market women pass by with trays on their heads, calling out prices. Children chase each other past the hospital gate. Life is loud and warm and full in Enugu. Inside Grace of God Medical Center, Dr. Ejiofor stands at the center of it all. Trusted, celebrated, untouchable. And that untouchability is exactly what he depends on. Look at the thumbnail image carefully. On the left, Dr. Ejiofor smiles warmly at his young female patient. His eyes are gentle. His posture is open. On the right, reflected in the glass wall behind him, is something else entirely. A darker figure, eyes burning, something hidden behind his back, gloves already on. That reflection is not imagination. It is the truth. Nurse Beatrice begins noticing small things, things that do not match. Female patients in the private ward sleeping far longer than their conditions require. A young woman named Priscilla Ume, 23, who came in for a minor infection, is discharged after 5 days looking confused and distant. Her mother, Mrs. Rose Ume, 55, a petty trader from Alkunano, asks Beatrice quietly in the corridor, "Why does my daughter look like she forgot something inside this hospital?" Beatrice laughs it off, but she does not forget the question. Flashback, 15 years earlier. A young Ejiofor sits in a cold sitting room in their family compound. His father, Elder Raphael Eze, 65 at the time, a hard-faced man who smelled of snuff and bitterness, looks at him and says, "Book does not feed a man. Only what you take for yourself is truly yours." Young Ejiofor says nothing, but something shifts quietly behind his eyes. A door closes inside him. And another one, a darker one, slowly opens. Dr. Kenneth Obi, 45, is Dr. Ejiofor's only colleague, his old university roommate from their days at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Kenneth is a good man, gentle and tired. He sees things, small things that do not sit right, extra medication orders that he did not approve, patient files that are slightly different from what he remembers. But Kenneth has a wife, Ngozi Obi, 3 children, school fees, and a mortgage on a small house in Independence Layout. And he tells himself he is imagining things. He looks away. He keeps looking away. And Dr. Ejiofor keeps smiling. The generator comes on at 9 p.m. The ward lights dim. The last family visitor leaves. The security man, Emeka the gateman, 55, locks the front gate and returns to his small booth to watch football on his phone. This is when Dr. Ejiofor truly begins his work. He has been secretly over-sedating certain patients, mostly young women in the private ward, giving them higher doses than their charts show, keeping them deeply asleep. He stands over them in the dark with gloved hands and a calm face, as though what he is doing is just another procedure. But what he is doing is far worse than anyone in that town has imagined. Dr. Ejiofor has a second business. He has been secretly harvesting detailed patient medical data, blood types, Rs organ health reports, tissue compatibility profiles, and selling this information to an underground medical broker network operating quietly between Enugu and Lagos. Patients are being profiled without their knowledge, their bodies catalogued, their private medical histories traded like goods at the Ogbet market. The man who connects him to this network is Mr. Pascal Ibe, 50, a smooth, well-dressed man who arrives at the hospital on Tuesday evenings carrying a slim laptop bag and speaking in the low, careful voice of a man who has never done an honest day's work in his life. He and Dr. Ejiofor speak in the back office for 30 minutes each week. They never shake hands on the way out. Pharmacist Loveth Chukwu, 35, fills Dr. Ejiofor's unusual prescriptions without asking too many questions. She tells herself she is just doing her job. But she wakes up most mornings with a tight chest and an unease she cannot name. She has a younger brother in school in Enugu. Dr. Ejiofor is quietly paying part of his fees. That is the chain he uses to keep people silent, small kindnesses with very heavy hooks. Meanwhile, Mrs. Comfort Alozie collapses at home in Ude after taking a new set of pills Dr. Ejiofor gave her on her last visit. Pills that were never entered into her official file. Chief Donatus screams for the neighbors. The whole compound runs. Women always know first. Nurse Beatrice begins writing things down in a small blue notebook she keeps inside her bra. Dates, medication orders, patient names, arrival and discharge times. She is not sure what she is building yet, but she knows she is building something. She confides in Sister Ngozi Madu, 52, and a Catholic nun who runs a small free health outreach clinic 3 streets away from Grace of God Medical Center. Sister Ngozi is not easily shaken. She has seen suffering in many forms. But as she listens to Beatrice speak in a low voice over 2 cups of tea, her face grows very still. Because she has heard pieces of this story before from women who came to her clinic after leaving Dr. Ejiofor's hospital, women who could not explain why they felt violated but felt it deeply all the same. Mrs. Rose Ume returns to the hospital for the 3rd time, demanding answers about her daughter Priscilla. This time she is louder. She stands in the reception and refuses to move. The hospital receptionist, Favor Eze, 24, a bright young girl from Agbani whose entire university education is being funded by Dr. Ejiofor, tries to calm her down. He then tries to shame her, then calls security. Mrs. Rose is removed. But before she leaves, she locks eyes with Nurse Beatrice across the corridor. Something passes between them, a silent agreement. Then Adaora Alozie Mba, 40, arrives from Abuja. She is Comfort's first daughter, a lawyer with the kind of eyes that read between every line. She walks into Grace of God Medical Center on a Wednesday morning, and the entire reception falls quiet. She does not raise her voice. She simply places her business card on the counter and says, "I want every record relating to my mother's treatment, today." Dr. Ejiofor comes out of his office himself to greet her. He smiles. He is warm. He is charming. Adaora smiles back, but her notebook is already open. Old secrets do not stay buried in a small city where everyone knows everyone's uncle. Mr. Victor Eze, 60, no relation to the doctor, is a retired civil servant who spends his mornings at the barbing salon on Ogui Road. He is the kind of man who remembers everything and connects dots quietly. Over 3 weeks, he realizes that 3 people he knows personally, his neighbor's wife, a man from his church, and a woman in his wife's prayer group, all became mysteriously and seriously worse after routine visits to Grace of God Medical Center. He starts talking, first in whispers, then loud enough for the whole barbing salon to hear, then loud enough for the market. Enugu begins to murmur. Dr. Kenneth Obi hears the murmuring, and something finally breaks open inside him. He has carried his silence like a stone for too long. He reaches out quietly to Dr. Ijeoma Aduba, 48, but the regional investigator for the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. Dr. Ijeoma is a small, precise woman who speaks slowly and misses nothing. She also lost her own mother 12 years ago in a private hospital in Onitsha, under circumstances that were never properly explained. She does not need extra motivation, but she has it anyway. Back at the hospital, Dr. Ejiofor senses something shifting. He begins to move fast. Files are removed from shelves. His personal laptop is wiped. He calls Pascal Ibe and tells him to stop coming. He pulls Nurse Beatrice aside and tells her, with a soft smile that does not reach his eyes, that she is the best nurse he has ever worked with, and that loyalty is always rewarded. Beatrice smiles back. Her small blue notebook is already in Sister Ngozi's possession. She made copies 3 weeks ago. The investigation team arrives on a Thursday morning. 6 officials, 2 MDCN investigators, and 4 police officers in plain clothes. They enter Grace of God Medical Center at 8:15 a.m., before the waiting room fills up. Dr. Ejiofor is in his office reviewing a file. He looks up. And for the first time, that warm, practiced smile does not come. The community erupts. By noon, the news has spread from Ogui Road to Abakpa Nike. People stand outside the hospital gate in groups, talking over each other. Some weep. Some are simply silent, the silence of people whose world has just tilted. The women from Dr. Ejiofor's church defend him loudly. The men from his community development union call it a witch hunt. But the market women, who hear everything and forget nothing, are quiet and unsurprised. Chief Donatus, back home in Udi, receives the call while sitting in his veranda. He does not speak for a long time. Then he stands up and walks inside and does not come back out. His son, Chidera Alodzie, 32, a hot-tempered young mechanic, drives straight to Enugu with fire in his chest, ready to tear the hospital apart with his bare hands. Adaora physically blocks him at the gate. Chidera, Mama needs justice, not more confusion. Let me do my work. He breathes hard. He stays. Pascal Ibe is gone. He left his Enugu apartment 2 days before the raid. Neighbors say he packed 1 bag and entered a Keke Napep, heading toward the expressway. Nobody has seen him since. Pharmacist Loveth sits in a small MDCN interview room and cries for 40 minutes before she begins to speak. And once she starts, she does not stop. Dr. Ejiofor is arrested at 2:45 p.m., and he walks out of Grace of God Medical Center in his white coat. Flanked by investigators, past his waiting patients, past Nurse Beatrice standing at the door, past the community that built him up, and the community he quietly destroyed. He does not look at anyone. What happens to a community after its healer becomes its wound? Mrs. Comfort Alozie recovers slowly. Her body heals faster than her spirit. She sits on her veranda in Udi some evenings and stares at nothing. She still cannot fully explain to Chief Donatus what was done to her, because she does not completely understand it herself. She just knows she gave her trust to a man, and he fed on it. She prays a lot. She sings old Igbo hymns quietly to herself. Chief Donatus sits beside her and holds her hand and says nothing, because there is nothing that words can fix. Nurse Beatrice is celebrated publicly and quietly punished privately. 3 hospitals in Enugu refuse to hire her. People call her a troublemaker. She is called a betrayer by those who still loved Dr. Ejiofor. Sister Ngozi takes her in, letting her run the outreach clinic for a while. Beatrice does not regret a single day, but she cries sometimes, not for Dr. Ejiofor, but for the version of him she believed in for 6 years. Sandra Okafor, the quiet young woman from Ward 3, finally speaks. She stands before the MDCN tribunal and gives testimony in a steady voice that surprises everyone in the room, including herself. Her words are the ones that seal Dr. Ejiofor's fate. Adaora Alozi Mba takes the civil case to the Enugu High Court. It becomes one of the most discussed medical negligence cases in the state's history. She argues not just for her mother, but for every patient who trusted and was betrayed. Dr. Kenneth Obi quietly retires. He returns to his hometown in Anambra and grows vegetables behind his house. He attends Mass every morning. He never talks about Dr. Ejiofor, but he writes a long private letter to Beatrice that she reads twice and keeps forever. Pharmacist Loveth moves to Port Harcourt and starts over. She volunteers once a month at a free clinic. She never fully forgives herself, but she keeps going. The people of Enugu slowly, painfully rebuild their trust, not in one man, but in each other. The market women start a community health group that meets every Saturday. Sister Ngozi's outreach clinic doubles in size. Victor Eze, the barbing salon philosopher, becomes an unlikely patient rights advocate. Anand Grace of God Medical Center stands empty for months. White walls, blue trim, silent corridors, a beautiful building that held a terrible secret. Until the community decides what to do with it, they leave the lights off. But they leave the gate open. Because healing, they know now, must never be locked away again.